which is knees about as wide as the mat. Take your big toes to touch. Sink your sit bones down onto your heels and then walk your fingertips forward and take your forehead in contact with the mat. And just close down your eyes. So this is our yogic resting position. It's a really restorative pose, and it's just one you can use at any point in the practice. If it gets a bit intense or you need a bit of time out, or you get any kind of lower back pressure or wrists or neck or anything, it's just a really good restorative pose to use. And it's up to you. You can either lengthen your hands out, your fingertips out towards the top of the mat, or you can take your hands by your sides, palms facing the ceiling, or even take your hands onto your heels, maybe even giving your feet a massage. And maybe just relax your forehead into the mat. So just massaging that forehead down into the ground, releasing any tension in the back of your neck. And then just start to take your attention to your breath. So breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And just notice anything that comes up for you, just any areas of tension. And then anything emotionally that comes up, just notice how you're feeling. Maybe notice your heart rate, your temperature. And then if you'd like to take this opportunity to set an intention for your practice, go ahead and do so. That can just be a word or a phrase starting with I am, just for how you intend to feel at the end of the practice, and something you can carry through towards the end of the day or the end of the week. And taking an inhale, and as you exhale, take your hands, if they're not here already, lengthening towards the top of the mat. And then take your hands onto your fingertips. So we're into more of an active child's pose now. Still relaxing your forehead down onto the mat, but your arms are straight and fingertips engaged into the mat. And take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, walk your hands around to the right. And then relaxing your torso over that right thigh, making sure you're keeping that neck relaxed. So doing some nods, yeses and nos. And then taking that left hand on top of that right hand, if you just want a bit more stretch, working into that left side. But it's up to you, just go as far as you need to. You're just aiming for a stretch in that left-hand side. And take an inhale, and as you exhale, walk those fingertips back through center, and we'll come all the way round to the left-hand side, relaxing your torso over that left thigh. Still up onto those fingertips, and just going where you feel a stretch in that right-hand side. And taking that right hand over the left, if that feels good. If it's too much, just stay up onto your fingertips. Taking an inhale, and as you exhale, we'll come back through center, walking those fingertips back round, and we'll plant the hands down onto the mat, come up onto our knees, taking our knees as wide as hip width, hands under the shoulders, and we'll come into our neutral tabletop position and just take some cat-cows here. So inhale as you drop that belly, gaze up towards the ceiling, and then as you exhale, push through the hands, curve the spine, find space between the shoulders and tuck your chin towards your chest. So inhale, drop the belly, gaze up towards the ceiling, And exhale, reverse that action, and just do some of these in your own time, to the rhythm of your own breath, leading the movement with that breath. Just warming up the lower back, warming up the shoulders. And then just taking any movement that feels right for you. So maybe swaying the hips out from side to side. Maybe just some nods and no's with the neck. And then walking the hands towards the top of the mat. So take your hands into the top two corners of the mat. Inhale as you gaze forward. And then as you exhale, sink your chest down towards the mat. So we're working into the shoulders. And either taking your forehead onto the mat, or if you want to take it a stage further, taking your chin onto the mat, and maybe even coming up onto those fingertips, just to take it into the shoulders just that bit more. Take another inhale here, and as you exhale, walk those hands towards you, placing your hands underneath those shoulders again, so we're in that neutral position. We'll take an inhale here, and as you exhale, we'll float the left foot towards the back of the room. So we did this last week. So toes pointing down towards the mat, hips are square, equal weight between the hands. And either staying here if you'd like to engage the right arm, take an inhale, and as you exhale, lengthen that right hand forwards. So lengthening out through those fingertips, palms facing the midline. And either holding it here or work into the core a bit. So take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, if you'd like to, take your right elbow towards that left knee, tucking the chin to the chest, coming into a crunch. And then inhale, extending out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend out. And just holding here for a breath before placing that right hand down and the left knee down, and sway the hips out from side to side. And we'll go the other side. So take an inhale, and as you exhale, lengthen that right leg towards the back of the room. Sole of the foot pushing that back wall away, flexing that ankle so the toes are pointing down towards the mat. Hips are square, and again either staying here or taking an inhale, and as you exhale, lengthen that left arm forwards, coming into that balance. And just notice any differences here. This is my dodgy arm, so it always feels a bit strange. I've just learned to accept it. And either staying here, or again we can take it into those crunches. So take an inhale, and as you exhale, take that right knee towards that left elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, extend, and just lengthening here, staying with that breath before placing that left hand down and the right knee down. Sway the hips out from side to side just to release off that lower back. And we'll do some more warming of the core. So take an inhale, and as you exhale, tuck your toes under, and then lift your knees to a hover off the mat. So we're talking just an inch or two, nothing dramatic. And just holding it here, breathing, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And really tuck the tailbone under so that you're pulling that belly button back towards the spine, just to activate that core. And then exhale, release the knees back down, sway the hips out from side to side, and we'll go a couple more times. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, hover those knees, keeping that neck relaxed. Really tuck the tailbone, push through the hands. Holding it here, notice that heat build almost instantly. And releasing the knees. And we'll go one more time, so sway those hips out, take an inhale. As you exhale, lift those knees to a hover. Pausing here, just staying with the breath, those inhales and those exhales. Feeling that energy build. And exhale those knees back down. Flatten the feet onto the mat. Sway the hips out from side to side. We'll take an inhale, and as you exhale, walk your hands forward a couple of paces. Tuck your toes under, and we'll lift our hips up, coming into our first downward dog. So this, keeping our knees really bent. Just as this is the first one. And then pedaling your feet out in time with your breath. So alternating, straightening and bending each knee. Just working into the backs of those legs. And hands are shoulder width apart. Fingers are splayed. And you want your middle finger almost pointing exactly central towards the top of the mat. The feet are hip width apart. Then gaze is between the knees. Try to keep your head in line with the tops of your arms. And if you find that you're coming a bit forward and you're not there, bend those knees so that you can push the torso back. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, walk those feet towards the tops of your hands, grabbing opposite elbows. And coming into that ragdoll. Some nods and no's, just making sure that neck is relaxed. And as we inhale, we'll release those elbows, push through the feet and fold up at the hips, coming all the way up to standing, sweeping those arms up overhead. And exhale, palms together and folding forwards as you drop down into that forward fold again. And we'll inhale to a flat back, so hands onto the shins, gaze is forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale to that flat back again. And really squeeze those shoulder blades together. Exhale, fold. And we'll inhale, push through those feet as we fold all the way up. Sweeping those arms up ahead. And exhale, hands by your sides. And if you can, see if you can grab hold of your elbows behind you. If not, if that's not available, grab hold of your wrists or even your hands, but try to grab those elbows. And inhale, your gaze forward. Really squeeze the shoulder blades together. And as you exhale, fold forwards. Leading with that chest. And then releasing the head down. Little yeses, little nos. And try and make sure your weight is in the ball of your feet. And just feeling heavy with that head. And inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And we'll inhale, pushing through those feet, folding all the way back up. And either take that option again, or if you'd like to take your hands in reverse prayer behind you. So your heels of your hands together. Show you can see. If not, sometimes that's really difficult with tight shoulders. Just take your wrists or your elbows again. We'll take an inhale, and as we exhale, we'll fold forwards again. Again, leading with that chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Making your head heavy. And making sure that neck is still relaxed. Weight in the balls of your feet. Making sure your feet are about hip width distance apart. And inhale, pushing through those feet again, folding all the way back up. And we'll go one last time, so take any of those options, or if you'd like to, interlace your fingers behind you. Inhale as you lengthen your hands behind, shining the chest forward, and then as you exhale, fold at the hips, fold over. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and sending those arms up overhead, and rather concentrating than trying to get your hands over your head, concentrate on squeezing your shoulder blades together. so that you find the space there to elevate the hands above you. And take an inhale as you push through the feet, folding all the way back up to standing again. Release the hands, sweep them up overhead. And then as you exhale, fold forwards, open those arms, swan dive down, releasing the hands, coming into that forward fold. And we'll inhale, gaze forward, hands on the shins, squeeze those shoulder blades together. And exhale, bend the knees, plant those hands, and we'll step ourselves into a plank position. And just pausing here to adjust your alignment. So your middle finger pointing forwards. Your hands are splayed. Welcome to drop to those knees. But engage that core, so tuck the tailbone under. And really rotate the heels of your hands into the mat so that you're trying to shine the creases of those elbows towards the opposite wall. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, bend at the elbows, keeping them tucked into your torso, lowering all the way down onto the mat. And inhale as you push through the hands, so hands are underneath your shoulders. Squeeze those shoulder blades together, gaze is forward. And then exhale, pushing up into the hands, coming through that cat position, tucking the toes under, sending the hips high, coming back into that downward dog. And just pausing here, sending that breath around the body, maybe adjusting your position, walking your hands just towards you a bit more. And just inhaling and exhaling through the nose, sending the breath around the body, making sure that neck is relaxed. Releasing into child's pose if you need to. It can be really intense, this position. And on your next inhale, sweep your left leg up towards the sky. So we're coming into our three-legged dog. Again, really intense. See if you can push that left heel further into the floor. Equal weight between the hands. And flex that right foot so the toes are pointing down towards the mat. Take another inhale here, and as you exhale, try and step that right foot between your hands at the top of the mat, coming into a low lunge. So drop that left knee, flatten that foot, and we'll inhale, sweeping both arms up above the head, gaze up at those fingertips. And exhale, framing that foot, taking those hands back down onto the mat, and this time tucking those back toes under, so lifting that back knee if you'd like to. Taking that left hand underneath your face and inhale, sweeping that right arm up. Coming into a nice twist here. Exhale as you drop that right hand to frame that front foot, and then step yourselves back into your plank again. Pausing here for an inhale, and then as you exhale, lowering that torso all the way down to the mat, bending those elbows, keeping them into the torso, untuck the toes, and inhale, lifting that chest, either bending at those elbows so you're lower down, just to make it a bit less intense, or if you want to increase the intensity, push through those hands, straightening those arms, and exhale, tuck those toes under, sending the hips high, coming all the way into your downward dog again. And inhaling and exhaling through that nose again. Sending the breath around the body. Notice that heat, building that intensity. And we'll go the other side. So we'll inhale, raising that left leg up towards the ceiling, pushing further into that right heel, flexing those left toes, really pushing that torso towards that right thigh. And then exhale, step that left foot between the hands, dropping the back knee, might need to help it. Flattening that foot. And inhale, sweeping those arms up, Coming into this low crescent lunge. And exhale as you drop those hands, framing that front foot. And tucking those back toes under, lifting that right knee off the mat. Planting your right hand next to that left foot. We'll inhale, coming into a twist. So lifting that left hand up towards the ceiling. And exhale as you drop that left hand, frame that front left foot. And step yourselves back into plank. Taking an inhale here. And as you exhale, we'll go through our vinyasa again. So lowering ourselves down, either knees, chin, chest, or keeping the knees off. And inhaling to that back bend. So either with straight arms or bent elbows. And exhale, tucking those toes under. Lifting the hips, coming all the way back up into that downward dog. And just pausing here, circulating that breath around the body. And we'll take an inhale. And as we exhale, we'll walk our feet towards our hands at the top of the mat. Coming into a forward fold, check that the neck is released. Inhale to a flat back, gaze is forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, sweeping those arms up, coming all the way up to standing. Sweeping those fingertips up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. And just pausing here, closing down the eyes, just to reconnect with yourself. Feeling warmed up, maybe grabbing a drink if you need, or shaking it out. Or just staying here, just with the breath. And just reconnecting with yourself, checking in, noticing how you're feeling, just physically, any heat that you've built. The length and depth of your breath and your heart rate, just pushing those thumbs into your sternum. So as we inhale, we'll open the eyes, sweep those arms up ahead, gaze at those fingertips. Exhale, folding forwards, leading with that chest, coming all the way down into that forward fold. We'll inhale to a flat back, hands onto the shins, gaze forward. Exhale, folding forwards, planting the hands, stepping ourselves into a plank position. Taking an inhale here, and as you exhale, again, bending at those elbows, keeping them tucked into the torso, lowering down. Inhale, coming up onto the tops of your feet. As you straighten your arms, gaze towards the ceiling. And exhale, tuck those toes under, sending those hips high, coming into that downward dog. Pausing here for a breath before inhaling the right foot up towards the sky, coming into that three-legged dog. And then exhale, step that right foot between your hands, coming into a low lunge. Keep that back knee lifted and see if you can inhale, sweeping those arms up, coming into a high lunge, gaze up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, drop your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. Inhale as you shine those chests forward and lengthen those hands behind you. And as you exhale, fold forwards. See if you can take that right shoulder towards that right knee. Woo, balance challenge, almost fell. And inhale, pushing through the feet, sweeping back up, sweeping those fingertips up. And exhale, fold over that front thigh, framing that front foot. Step yourselves back to plank here. Take an inhale. As you exhale, we'll come through that vinyasa. So knees, chin, chest. We'll lower all the way down through that plank. Inhale, straightening those arms, gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, tuck those toes, push through the hands. Send those hips high, coming into that downward dog. And we'll go the other side. So we'll inhale the left leg up. And exhale, step that left foot between the hands. Keep that back knee lifted. Make sure you've got your balance. Frame that front foot. Before inhaling, sweeping those arms up. Coming all the way up into that high lunge. Exhale, drop those hands behind you. Inhale, interlace those hands. Shine that chest forward. Drop those hands behind you. And then as you exhale, fold forwards. Taking that left elbow towards that left knee. Pausing here. Working into those shoulders. Before inhaling, releasing those hands. Sweeping them up again. Gaze at those fingertips. And exhale, fold over that left knee. Frame that front foot. Step yourselves back to plank. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, bend at those elbows, lower yourselves down. Inhale, come up onto the tops of your feet. Push through the hands. Gaze towards the ceiling. And exhale, tuck the toes under. Send those hips high. Come into that downward dog. And again, pausing here. Really long, deep inhales and exhales. So try and breathe into the belly, up into the chest. And exhale, sink into that space you created with the breath. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, walk your feet towards your hands, coming into that forward fold. We'll inhale, take it into that flat back again, so hands on the shins. Gaze forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, sweeping those arms up. Gaze up at those fingertips. And exhale, hands to heart center. And again, just pausing here. Reconnecting with that breath. Notice that heart rate. And opening up the eyes as we step out wide with our left foot and turning both feet in so the outside edges of your feet are parallel with the short edges of your mat. Take your hands onto your hips and inhale up through the crown of your head, dropping the shoulders. And as you exhale, bend at the hips, so fold at the hips and almost try and lengthen the crown of your head towards the other side of the room before lowering all the way down. Taking your hands onto the mat. We'll inhale, coming into a flat back, coming onto those fingertips. Exhale, fold. Take another inhale, and as you exhale, walk your hands towards that right foot and taking hold of that right leg with your left hand. So you might find your thigh, you might find the back of your knee, you might find your calf muscle or your ankle. And just pulling, applying some pressure on that left arm. Taking yourself into a twist. And this might be enough. If you'd like to take your right hand and float it up towards the ceiling, just to come into a deeper twist. And then exhale, taking that hand down and walking those hands back through center. When we get to center, we'll inhale, coming up onto those fingertips. Exhale, fold back down. Take another inhale, and then as you exhale, walk your hands round to that left foot and taking your right hand onto that left leg. So either your thigh, the back of your knee, just wherever is available. And just applying a bit of pressure to that right hand, bringing that torso round, but equal weight between both feet. So try not to sink into the left. And either holding it here, or if you'd like to inhale that left arm up towards the ceiling, deepening the twist, taking it into the shoulders. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, drop that left hand. Coming back through center, we'll inhale up onto those fingertips again, and exhale, fold. Really release that neck. And we'll inhale, taking the hands back onto the hips, pushing through the feet, folding up. And we'll turn both feet out, so your feet are pointing to the outside corners of the mat. And inhale, our hands up to kind of cactus arms. And exhale, bending at the knees. So we're coming into our goddess pose. And really try to imagine somebody is pulling on your knees, so they're tracking towards the back of the room. Equal weight between both feet. But tuck the tailbone under, drop the shoulders down away from the ears, but really lengthen up through the crown of the head. Engage the core. And breathe through the nose with a neutral expression. And either staying here, or if you'd like to take an inhale and exhale, we can take it into some pulses. So take it further down, drop those hips, but really pulling back through that core, lengthening through the crown of the head. And we'll stay here for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, taking your hands onto your hips, lengthen up through the legs, so both legs are straight. And we'll turn our left foot in and turn our right foot out, so the right foot is pointing towards the opposite wall. Inhale, both arms up to shoulder height. Take your gaze over the right fingertips. And exhale, bending that right knee, making sure that right knee doesn't track over the right ankle. So we're in our warrior one. And again, making sure you're pushing through the feet, growing out through the crown of the head, but at the same time, dropping those shoulders down away from the ears. Pulling that core in. And breathing through the nose. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, drop your right forearm onto your right knee, or right thigh, I should say, and sweep that left arm up overhead. So we're coming into our extended side angle stretch. And feeling a nice stretch down that left-hand side. You can keep that right arm on that right knee, if you'd like to have a go at taking those right fingertips towards the floor, sinking further into it, so bending that right knee even more. And just imagining that you're between two walls, so you're trying to keep on the same plane. And we'll inhale, coming out of it, releasing that right arm, straightening that front right leg. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, twist towards that right leg. Trying to keep that torso perpendicular. What am I trying to say? Perpendicular, facing the wall. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, fold over that right leg, walking your hands down that right foot and testing one for the balance here. So seeing if you can try and take hold of that right leg with your left arm and sweeping that right arm up. Again, this is a real balanced twist. And don't worry if you're just up here or just maybe taking hold of anywhere on that leg. Then we'll inhale, twisting out of it, taking those arms up to shoulder height again. And we'll go the other side. So turn our right foot in and turn our left foot out. Keeping those hands at shoulder height. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, bend that left knee. So we're coming to our warrior two on this left side, really building strength through those legs. So making sure that left knee isn't rolling in. See if you can see that left big toe on the inside of that left knee. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, take that left forearm onto that left thigh. Sweep that right arm up overhead. But take care not to collapse into that left arm. So imagine almost that you could take it away. Really strong in those legs. And again, either staying here, if you'd like to track that left hand towards the floor, doesn't have to reach the floor. Maybe just give it a go. Gaze up towards the ceiling, really feeling a nice stretch down that right side. And we'll inhale, pushing through those feet, folding back up into that warrior two. Straighten that left leg. And again, twist that torso towards that left leg. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, fold over that left leg, walking those hands down. And this might be enough for you. If it's too strong, even on that left leg, take a bend in that knee. But if you'd like to try it, taking hold of that left leg with that right hand, putting that torso round like we did in that forward fold, and tracking that left arm up towards the ceiling. So coming into this balancy, twisty, revolved triangle. And inhale, releasing the hands, pushing up through the feet, coming up into that warrior two. And we'll turn that left foot in again. Turn the right foot out. Windmill the hands down, so we're framing that front foot, so we're coming into a low lunge. And then step ourselves into a downward dog. Or just find a downward dog. It's my fancy way of getting into it. And we'll inhale our right foot up towards the sky. And as we exhale, take your right knee towards your right wrist and come onto that right shin and walking the left foot back. So we're coming into pigeon here. It's a nice stretch for the hips. Try and keep the hips square. If you need to drop those hips out to the left, that's fine. Just do what works for you. But really try and walk that left foot back. Inhale up onto those fingertips. And as you exhale, take your forehead onto the backs of those hands, relaxing down. And just notice where you're feeling it. Again, if you're new to yoga, this can be horribly unfamiliar. It's a bit of a Marmite pose. Love it or hate it. But just notice where you're feeling it. Notice where that pinches. And just try and relax down onto the mat with every exhale. Just allowing those muscles to release. And we'll inhale, coming up onto our hands. And either pausing here, or if you'd like to try a little quad stretch, taking your right hand on the inside of that right knee, bending that left leg, seeing if you can track that heel towards that left glute, and just applying some pressure, just going where, it might be, this is where you need to find your own edge, but just finding where you feel that nice stretch in the leg. Again, if that's not available, that's fine. You'll hear it to me years to do that. Everyone's different. Again, you could be really fit, you could run or do cycling, and this is impossible. And then releasing that foot down, taking your hands out so they're shoulder width apart, tucking that back toe under. We'll step ourselves into a downward dog and just really gently pedaling out those feet. It can feel, again, really uneven after doing a pigeon. So just walking after doing a pigeon, sounds mad, walking those feet out. And then inhale, lifting that left foot up. And exhale, take that left knee towards the left wrist, coming onto that shin. And this time walking that right foot out. And again, just noticing any differences on this side. Maybe you've got a bit more flexibility, or maybe it even feels tighter. But trying to keep those hips square. If not, if you need to go down onto the left, that's fine. Inhale onto the fingertips, and as you exhale, take one hand over the other, relax that forehead down onto the backs of your hands. And again, just noticing the tension or any tightness on this side. And staying with that breath. Just allowing those muscles to stop tensing. Allowing yourself just to sink into that pose with every exhale. And either staying here or coming up onto the hands again. And if you'd like to place that left hand on the inside of that left knee, flex that right leg and seeing if you can grab hold of that foot just to find a quad stretch. But no obligations, keeping it here if you need to. And then releasing, coming out of it, planting both hands, tucking that back toe under, lifting those hips high. Again, really gently pedaling out those legs. Releasing any tension there. Then take an inhale, and as you exhale, jump across your feet. Come up through seated, or just sit down, my fancy ways. And come all the way down, lying onto your backs, gently settling into it, and hug your knees into your chest, taking some circles with those knees, just massaging the lower back into the mat. And then crucifixing out your arms, so palms facing the ground, taking your arms out towards opposite walls. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, take your knees over towards the left-hand side, and gazing over that right shoulder towards those right fingertips. Just breathing into this pose. Before inhaling, lifting those knees back through center, and then exhale, drop those knees towards the right, and gaze over the left. And again, inhale back through center. And exhale, sending those legs long, taking your hands beside you, shining the palms of your hands up towards the ceiling, and allowing your feet just to relax out towards the sides of the mat. And we'll come into our relaxation, our final pose, our Shavasana. And just taking your attention to your breath again. Just notice the rise and fall of your belly. And sinking towards the mat on every exhale. And just going where your thoughts take you. And taking an inhale as you point through your toes. Take your hands up overhead, interlace your fingers, maybe point through those forefingers, so coming into a pencil stretch. And then exhale as you turn over onto your right side. Just pausing here just for a couple of breaths. And keeping your eyes closed, see if you can push yourselves back up or into a seated position. So crossing your legs or sending them out in front of you. And keeping those eyes closed, taking your hands onto your knees. And just take a moment to think about that intention that you set for yourself, maybe repeating it in your head. Or just pausing here just to connect with that breath. And we'll take a really deep breath into the belly, up into the chest, and then sighing it out audibly through the mouth. And just a couple of those in your own time. And taking your hands to heart center. Thank you, everybody.